Hello, everyone. Welcome to Sovereign Spirits, where we discuss the possibility of this planet and the universe as being a type of trap, where we get caught in a reincarnation cycle, partly perpetuated by so-called guides and counselors. And we focus on ways to transcend this cycle by remembering our true essence and using our intention in a willful and empowered way to manifest an afterlife as sovereign spirits. I am Julie McVeigh, and I am here with co-creator and co-host of the show, Wayne Bush.
Hi, Julie, and hi, everyone.
In today's episode, we will be sharing the article we wrote a few months ago, Top 10 Red Flags. We are on a prison planet, Loosh Farm. We will be referring to the article as we share this information with you.
Yeah, we've identified the top 10 red flags and anomalies, indicating that the physical and astral planes are a prison planet or Loosh Farm.
On Earth, we already have prisons and farms, plus animals that use deception to manipulate their victims. So a precedent has already been set.
Right. This is not some new science fiction idea we're talking about.
All right, we're going to start off with red flag number 1, memory wipe and ignorance.
We are born as ignorant blank slates into a mystery. We have no memory of who or what we are, where we came from originally, why we are here, or where we go when we die. To be deprived of the fundamental knowledge of our true essence is inhumane and is, in our opinion, extreme psychological torture.
Yeah, furthermore, we're conditioned from birth to rely on conflicting stories of various paranormal experiences, religious dogma, and mythology. We should be born with this fundamental knowledge within us already, and not be required to rely on outside unreliable sources to tell us who we are or what happens after we die.
Proponents of the school theory claim the reason we don't remember previous states of existence and incarnations is because it would be too much information to bring into these bodies and would hinder our spiritual growth. However, knowing the answers to these few specific questions would not overwhelm us.
Yeah, and not only is this vital information not overwhelming, it is actually a necessary foundational element to our current existence, especially if expediting our spiritual learning and growth is our purpose. When we're sitting in a classroom setting, we remember why we're there and what we signed up to learn, right? So even if we're here to have just experiences, having this knowledge from birth would not lessen the value of our experiences.
No, it wouldn't. Red flag number 2, programming and conditioning.
We start off totally reliant on those around us to tell us what to think and believe. If we get inaccurate or partial information, then that faulty information is perpetuated because our subconscious stores its programming.
Thus, we make assumptions, creating a false reality that we buy into without question.
Yeah.
It seems we are biologically and socially programmed to observe and mimic. The indoctrination of how to behave, how to think, and what to believe takes place before we're even capable of critical thinking.
Mm-hmm. This keeps us ignorant, and it hinders us from discovering and knowing the truth of our reality. Therefore, it's extremely important to deprogram ourselves so we can replace the faulty information with more accurate information and new understanding.
We rely on external sources of authority to tell us what to believe, whether it is evolution via schools and universities or religion via churches and holy writings. We are taught repeatedly to turn over our sovereignty to authority figures to the point it becomes ingrained in our subconscious minds. At death, this will make it more likely we'll overlook our sovereignty and follow some external authority figure that presents itself to us.
Yeah. All right, so number 3, red flag, extremity of suffering and duration of reincarnation cycle.
Right. We're born into a hostile, dark environment. There's disease, famine, torture, trafficking, genocide, violence, war, etc. And we're told this is a school to evolve our souls.
This is not a fertile growing environment. Which is more effective, a more effective school? One where you're constantly in survival mode in a cutthroat society, or one where all your basic, needs are met and you're surrounded with encouragement and positive role models.
No brainer.
We wouldn't throw our own children in prison and expect them both to fend for themselves in survival mode and turn out to be kind, caring human beings, right? They would be too busy learning how to survive to optimally develop.
Right.
How is such an environment the most efficient way to grow a soul?
No.
As parents, we try our very best to create a loving, nurturing, safe environment. Why? Because we know such an environment is more conducive to optimal growth.
Right. Pre-birth memories reveal that so-called guides and counselors, they send us to earth repeatedly to learn lessons through suffering so that we will grow spiritually. Why create blank slates via memory wipes who need thousands of years of pain and suffering through hundreds or thousands of lives to learn, grow, and evolve? How many times does one need to experience such extreme pain and suffering to get the point?
Mm-hmm.
Certainly a lot fewer if we didn't get mind wiped every incarnation.
Also, how much growing does one need? Really, when is enough enough? Is this growth indefinite? To what end? Besides, you can transfer the desired experiential information via a download. Some do say that the download is not the same as the experience.
However, some near-death experiencers report the light is a collective soul, and we all have access to this collective pool of knowledge and experiences. For example, one near-death experiencer wrote, quote, I could at one and the same time experience myself as a personality I had always known as myself, as well as experiencing one of my friends' lives as though I were my friend.
Right.
End quote. So the experience would need to be had by one soul or spirit only one time, and then the experiential information could be transferred.
Right. As spirits on the other side, we possessed telepathy. If this is a school for learning, why is our telepathy being suppressed? This slows down our learning. Telepathy would give us immediate feedback because you would instantly and more thoroughly know how your actions affect other beings. This ability would decrease crime and suffering because secrecy and deception would be diminished.
It's like there's some kind of effort to dumb us down on purpose, to slow down our learning or make it impossible to learn. The repeated recycling of soul, reincarnation, is excessive. It's a flawed system, but if we're being recycled like we recycle energy here on Earth, that would explain the continual excessive recycling. It's cruel and unusual punishment. It's like a form of torture, both mentally and emotionally.
Yeah. We're designed with pleasure and pain centers. However, these bodies are also designed to feel the maximum amount of pain without the equivalent maximum amount of pleasure. Think of the most excruciating pain you've experienced, and then compare that to the most exhilarating pleasure you've experienced. The most intense pleasure does not equal or compare to the most intense suffering. The joy of children playing and laughing in the park does not equal or compare to the pain of children crying and screaming in a cage. So many people have chronic pain. Have you ever heard of the phrase chronic pleasure? Why not?
No, I haven't.
Why not?
Red flag number 4, kill and consume energy to survive, i.e. the food chain.
All right, so all creatures on Earth ultimately owe their existence to energy the sun provides. We eat plants that are grown in the soil of the earth. In fact, we exist within a food chain where predators kill their prey and parasites, viruses feed off their hosts, including humans. This is such a barbaric, twisted system.
We've been programmed to believe that we have to kill and consume the flesh of another being's energy in order to stay alive, and that this is somehow acceptable because it's the natural order of things. Due to instinctual programming, Animals and insects set traps, stalk, and prey on the weak and consume their victim's life for energy. Not only do animals kill for sustenance, they will sometimes taunt their victim. If this was really just about getting your next meal, why would an animal be programmed to taunt their victim?
Mm-hmm.
Why is there a connection with fear and the consumption of another's life?
Exactly.
Did the system design them to create prolonged fear for more loosh?
The idea of feeding off the fear of an animal is telling. There are tribes who have rituals before eating an animal just so they don't eat the fear of the animal. Some do, though. Warriors would consume the energy of their conquest by eating the heart or drinking the blood to absorb their power. As humans, we farm and eat animals against their will. They are often kept in crowded, filthy pens or cages and fattened up and eventually slaughtered for food.
We humans like to think we're at the top of the food chain, but there could be entities just outside our perception feeding off of us.
Right.
After all, bugs and animals don't know we're feeding off of them. And likewise, many, if not most people, accept the idea of ghosts, angels, and even shadow beings, although they are outside our perception.
Right. Shamanic traditions speak of entities feeding off us. Carlos Castaneda, who claimed to have studied under shaman Don Juan, wrote in The Active Side of Infinity, quote, "We have a predator that came from the depths of the cosmos and took over the rule of our lives. Human beings are its prisoners. They took us over because we are food for them. And they squeeze us mercilessly because we are their sustenance," end quote.
Sacrifices and burnt offerings to the gods were a common practice in ancient days. Virgins were sacrificed in volcanoes, men were sacrificed in wicker structures, and also atop pyramids. The Gnostic text, the Gospel of Philip, reads, quote, "God is a man-eater. For this reason, men are sacrificed to him." Before men were sacrificed, animals were being sacrificed, since those to whom they were sacrificed were not gods, end quote.
Even in the Bible, it's written that the Lord requested sacrifices and was pleased with the smell of burning flesh. Quote, "Then Noah built an altar to the Lord, and taking some of the clean animals and clean birds, he sacrificed burnt offerings on it. The Lord smelled the pleasing aroma," end quote.
A lecture from the teaching company explains, quote, "A steady supply of hearts and blood was essential, not only for the Aztecs themselves, but for all the people of the earth itself and the gods beyond. The purpose of war was the feeding of the gods," end quote.
Wow. Did all this fear generate a pure form of energy, also known as loosh? Lucid dreamers and out-of-body experiencers can see spirit attachments that drain energy. Out-of-body pioneer Robert Monroe witnessed entities harvesting a type of energy from humans that he coined as loosh. He wrote, quote, "Someone, somewhere, or both in millions or uncountable, requires, likes, needs, values, collects, drinks, eats, or uses as a drug a substance ident loosh," parenthesis, electricity, oil, oxygen, gold, wheat, water, land, old coins, uranium. This is a rare substance in somewhere, and those who possess loosh find it vital for whatever it is used for. Faced with this question of supply and demand, parenthesis, a universal law of somewhere, someone decided to produce it artificially, so to speak, rather than search for it in its, quote, natural form. He decided to build a garden and grow loosh, end quote.
Where have I heard that? The realm of hungry ghosts is one of the 6 realms of rebirth in Buddhism. 2 of the most common tropes in Hollywood horror movies are vampires and zombies. Vampires are said to drink the blood or vital essence of their human victims. The legend of Dracula may have stemmed from the account of a real man, Prince Vlad the Impaler, the son of Vlad Dracul.
Mm.
And almost all of us have experienced people who are psychic vampires, draining others of their
Mm.
mental and emotional energy. And the concept of zombies comes from Haitian folklore, where the undead are reanimated with magical rites from religions like voodoo. Zombies are said to be the undead that feed off human flesh and brains.
And mystic Rudolf Steiner said, quote, there are beings in the spiritual realms for whom anxiety and fear emanating from human beings offer welcome food. If fear and anxiety radiate from people and they break out in panic, then these creatures find welcome nutrition and they become more and more powerful. These beings are hostile towards humanity. Everything that feeds on negative feelings, on anxiety, fear, and superstition, despair, or doubt, are in reality hostile forces, supersensible worlds, launching cruel attacks on human beings while they are being fed, end quote.
It's common for psychedelic experiencers, especially those on DMT, to feel like entities are feeding off them. Here's an example from the DMT Nexus website. Quote, I could see entities more distinctly this time. It was like they were farmers. I came to realize I was being distracted with information so that they could do what they wanted, feed, harvest. During these stages, I would have recurring flashes or images of some jellyfish-like creature or something like an octopus with suckered tentacles. Whatever it was, I felt like I was connecting to the tendrils or the tentacles during this feeding phase, end quote.
Near-death experiencer George Ritchie described in his book, Return from Tomorrow, how he saw thirsty shadows that live vicariously through bar patrons. The spirits had, quote, developed a dependence on alcohol that went beyond the physical, end quote. He watched them, quote, clutch at their shot glasses, hands passing through the solid tumblers, through the heavy wooden countertop, through the very arms and bodies of the drinkers around them. And these men, every one of them lacked the aureole of light that surrounded the others, end quote.
The alternative rock band Tool has a song and video named Vicarious, which depicts astral entities living vicariously off the fears of mankind.
Some shamans practice spirit releasement, spirit attachment removal, and energy healing cleaning. Hypnotherapist Dr. Edith Fiore wrote a book on spirit attachments and possession called The Unquiet Dead. A psychologist treats spirit possession.
Even Catholic priests perform exorcisms to rid people of demonic possession. And there are various demons or shades throughout mythology, such as the Mesopotamian Galu, the Babylonian Alu, and the Native American Wendigo, that are said to feed off human vital energy or astral life force, especially fear, to grow stronger.
Why can't one consume energy by the more love you give,
right,
or from the air you breathe, or by be completely sustained by the sun's energy?
Yeah, there should be better, more humane, caring ways of getting energy.
Why not?
In fact, why is energy consumption needed at all? The axiom as above, so below, it's just a competitive dog-eat-dog world.
All right, so red flag number 5, secrecy, lies, and deception, manipulation, and control at the top.
Yeah, secrecy, lies, deception, manipulation, and control. All these tactics use a state of confusion to keep people imprisoned. If we can stop being ignorant, then maybe we can get out.
We've been programmed to associate love and light, for example, go to the light, with positivity, right? But here on Earth, love and light can also be used to deceive.
True.
Think about it. Ted Bundy's victims believed he loved them. The women who are victims of men who prey on them certainly are not experiencing the love of their predators, right? Even though they feel loved. So where's that love coming from?
Love's often associated with near-death experiencers, and sometimes the love is described as blissful or euphoric.
Mm-hmm.
How is it loving to use deception and manipulation to send a soul back to earth?
Mm.
Where does the feeling of love that the near-death experiencers experience come from?
Mm.
Could this love be our own love reflected back to us? Another possibility is advanced technology exists on the other side, similar to what is
Right.
described in alien abduction accounts. Aliens are sometimes seen in near-death experiences, so perhaps they have a frequency generator or something to entrance or hypnotize us to accept and trust them.
Mm-hmm. Something interesting is that some of these near-death experiencers felt the love before entering the tunnel.
Yeah.
Does that suggest that the love experience during their near-death experience was really theirs the entire time, a love from within themselves?
Light is used in multiple ways for predators to lure their victims. For example, we have bug zappers and light traps. Fishermen use lights. You have anglerfish, like in the movie Finding Nemo, viperfish, gnatfly larvae, etc. And
Right.
cuttlefish and some spiders even use light to hypnotize their targets.
Mm-hmm. Many near-death experiences and pre-birth memories show that these beings use deception to manipulate, such as, appeals to ego, shaming tactics, guilt trips, mimicry. Mimicry is used here on Earth.
Yeah, I mean, for
well.
example, a type of praying mantis disguises itself as a beautiful orchid flower to lure in its unsuspecting meal. And on the other side, a spirit could take any form it desires, like a shape-shifting imposter. So in the astral realm, an entity could disguise itself to be a spirit guide, ascended master, religious figure, or even loved one in order to persuade a soul to reincarnate.
I mean, we have corrupt leaders, running the world here. But then we assume that when we die, these supposed authority figure entities who present themselves to us are benevolent and to be trusted without question. Why is there such a big mainstream push to go to the light?
Yeah, why is there? Red flag number 6. That brings us to number 6. Prison and limitations of spirit.
The limitless eternal spirit consciousness is crammed into a limited physical body. It's temporarily trapped within the body, which is bound to the earth by gravity, unable to leave the planet.
Many feel we're being held against our will. We either become part of the system or live as homeless persons. We slave away in the 9-to-5 grind and the mundane existence of it all. Work, produce, consume. Work, produce, consume.
Right.
We have to follow laws, even if they're unjust, or we don't agree with them, or else we're going to be imprisoned. How is that true freedom?
Right. Life is so hard and unfair. Everything is a struggle. We work as slaves most of our lives. It takes so long to get something done. We spend so much time in survival mode. We spend the majority of our time just trying to maintain these avatars. In fact, many even have to deal with mental and physical disabilities. And then as we age, the vast majority of us will have to deal with both mental faculties and physical abilities diminishing.
That's crazy. Manifestation is extremely slow. Everything seems set up to be more difficult than it needs to be. I mean, before we came here, we were infinite, eternal spirits with unlimited knowledge, able to communicate telepathically, teleport anywhere at will, take on any form we wanted, and manifest instantly with our intention. Over there, we can do anything we can do here, plus so much more, without any of the pain and suffering. I mean, this place is extremely limiting. Here we're recycled and squeezed into these small, heavy, dense, finite physical containers that severely restrict our movement and powers of instant manifestation. We're not always able to do what we want when we want. And if we can't manifest what we want when we want, I mean, do we really have true freedom?
It's nearly impossible to permanently exit this restricted, suffocating system. death is virtually the only way to permanently exit. So you would either have to intentionally exit or grow old or deteriorate from, disease and wait for a natural death, which involves, of course, much pain and suffering, i.e., loose, energetic food. Yeah.
I mean, not only is the physical act extremely difficult to carry out because the body has its own instinct to survive, but people also have strong attachments to parents, children, spouses. It's a very taboo subject. And there's only a few states which allows one to exit. I mean, if one has a terminal illness.
Right. But why aren't we allowed to exit more easily if we would like to do so? Well, in Christianity, it's a major sin, and some denominations teach it's a one-way, ticket to hell. Can't do that. And then in the New Age community, it's not much better. It causes karmic debt, meaning you have to return in another life to repay that debt. So can't do that. Some even say you have to relive that same exact situation all over again.
And again.
And again.
There's a heavy campaign of persuasion in the afterlife, as seen through near-death experiences, pre-birth memories, and between lives regressions, where these so-called guides and counselors tell us we have to go to Earth to learn lessons or for some mission.
In various mythological texts and some near-death experiences, a judge or council of judges attempts to manipulate us with shaming tactics and guilt trips to come back to Earth. These tactics would be especially effective, and guilt trips, all these tactics for souls who have already bought into sin or karma through religious programming.
Yeah, religious programming is a huge one. Well, we're slaves to our bodies, we're slaves to authority, and slaves to the system.
Mm-hmm. All right, so number 7, sleep and entropy.
Yeah, our energy runs down from the beginning of the day until we are drained of energy at bedtime, as if we've been designed to be rechargeable batteries. I mean, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm. The fact that we run out of energy and need to recharge could point to the reality that something or someone is consuming our energy. As little children, we are full of energy and bouncing off the wall.
I remember.
By the end of our lives, though, our energy is depleted and we need canes to walk or we're bedridden.
Why do things, including our avatars, break down on a continual basis? Well, the second law of thermodynamics states that everything is running down. Many say someone designed the system or evolved. Both theories seem flawed. It's not a good design for a system to break down in order for things to grow and get better, I would think. And how is it a sign of spiritual evolution that you have to keep coming back and back and you don't bring the lessons with you?
Mm-hmm. So it seems something or someone is keeping us from evolving. If we're not learning over thousands of lifetimes, it seems there is a concerted effort to prevent us from learning our lessons. Does the evidence that we keep coming back over and over again suggest this is a prison or a farm where energy is being consumed and recycled?
Our bodies require sleep. We have to sleep roughly 8 hours a day, a third of our lives, not knowing where our consciousness is during that time. Are we being programmed while we sleep? Maybe.
Maybe.
When we're asleep, we're in a state of unconscious hypnosis, which leaves us, vulnerable to entities, manipulate and program our subconscious minds.
It's been reported that some become conscious in their dream state and find themselves in a pod, school, or hospital setting, only to realize they're being hypnotized and programmed by entities via drug injections and telepathic suggestions. Maybe they're using techniques to throw people out of their dreams because, maybe they don't want people aware of what's going on behind the scenes.
Very well could be. And I mean, why would little children have nightmares or night terrors? Night terrors. We're talking about
Right?
little children, it's like
Yeah.
this crazy system.
All right. So and number 8, lack of disclosure, transparency, and consistency in major religions and sacred texts.
Yeah, I mean, why doesn't a deity or God appear to us?
Hello.
Why wouldn't
Be easy.
Yeah, why wouldn't a good God appear to all beings holographically at once? So we're all on the same page.
Right.
Instead of appearing to different groups of people in different areas of the world in different eras with different messages. I mean, this seems like a recipe for disaster, which maybe that's what they want, which creates holy wars and, more luge through the sacrifice of many lives.
Yeah. Why is religion so faith-based? If the creators are benevolent, right, wouldn't they want to openly communicate with us, since that would help us, right? The teaching that God works in mysterious ways is just a convenient excuse for their lack of disclosure and actually creates more confusion, chaos, doubt, fear, which generates what? More luge. Hey, the Bible even says, fear God. In Proverbs 9:10, it's written that the fear of God is the beginning of wisdom.
That's the kind of God I want. What do I have to fear?
The devil is created, right, to be a convenient scapegoat for the blame of all evil. Well, apparently God chooses not to defeat the devil. No. He's going to do that. I'll do that later, though. No worries.
Procrastinating.
God's procrastinating, right? Instead, God makes bets or accepts challenges from the devil. Oh, that's better.
Eastern religions such as Hinduism and Buddhism teach that this is a reincarnation trap, basically, from which we need liberation. Gnostic texts even say our spirit is trapped within the physical body. Yeah. Some people have claimed to have had encounters with benevolent beings, whether angels, guides, ascended masters, or aliens. Well, why aren't these benevolent beings openly communicating with all of us, or at least a larger percentage of us?
Clearly they can do this.
Sure.
If they give us the answers to our biggest questions, it would alleviate all our fears that result from our ignorance of this vital information. Well, some say, well, it's because of the law of non-interference, for example, not interfering with someone's evolution.
Star Trek.
Do that. But wouldn't you personally help someone who's being severely wronged? You would just do that. Someone like as in raped or killed, you would interfere, right?
Of course. Red flag number 9, paranormal accounts and experiences.
Yeah, many near-death experiences, pre-birth memories, remote viewing sessions, and alien encounters reveal that manipulation is actually used to get spirits to come to Earth.
Hey, you have pre-birth memory accounts that reveal these so-called guides and counselors. They supposedly plan our lives. You have psychonauts, astral travelers like Robert Monroe, which you mentioned, remote viewers such as Courtney Brown and Brett Stewart, life between lives hypnotherapists like Calogero Garfassi,
right,
and alien researchers like Dr. Carla Turner, John Lear, David Jacobs, and others. They all supported the idea that aliens are manipulating us and or benefiting from our energy, the Lush Farm theory.
Right. Also, there's this purported testimony from the book Alien Interview, which describes in detail the prison planet and Soul Farm.
Yeah, I mean, here's some relevant quotes from different works on all this. Ruth was a near-death experiencer from nderf.org, which is Near Death Experiences Research Foundation, where near-death experiencers submit, there's over 4,000 accounts of near-death experiencers. She said, quote,
so we're going to give some quotes from that and other sources.
She said, I was taken to special entities who look like they're special entities, who look like the Greys, the usual Greys, but they had lots of wrinkles on their faces. They called themselves the Council and said they were part of a group called Soul Recyclers, helping to reincarnate, end quote.
Yeah, and then there's Robert B., near-death experiencer from nderf.org, right? So, quote, he says, I saw the light approach. I was enveloped by the light and an entity that was to prepare me for what I call my interview with a supreme being later in the light. This first being appeared to be the Virgin Mary, right? Only after asking, are you truly the Virgin Mary? It instantly manifested its true identity. I was nearly paralyzed with fear until again asking, please, what is happening to me? What's going on here? End quote.
Yeah, it's pretty telling. Dr. Carla Turner, a UFO researcher, she said, quote, the UFO phenomenon is some form of human farming, end quote.
Mm-hmm. And then we have the Robert Monroe, out-of-body experiencer. He writes, quote, so he decided to build a garden and grow loosh in the natural state. Loosh was found to originate from a series of vibrational actions in the carbon-oxygen cycle, and the residue was loosh in varying degrees of purity, the clearest and most potent coming from humans,
Wow, surprise.
engendered by human activity, which triggers emotion. The highest of such emotions being love. Is love loosh, he writes. These are the principal producers of loosh, distillate from experience. The collectors have evolved an entire technology with supplementary tools for the harvesting of loosh from the type 4M units. Most common have been named love, friendship, family, greed, hate, pain, guilt, disease, pride, ambition, ownership, possession, sacrifice. And on a larger scale, nations, provincialism, wars, famine, religion, machines, freedom, industry, trade, to list a few.
Quite a list.
Loosh production is higher than ever before, end quote.
I'll bet it is. Courtney Brown, remote viewer, stated, quote, after looking at the accumulation of data collected at Farsight over a great many years, I am certain it is true. A picture has gradually emerged that seems as undeniable as it is astounding. Earth has long been a planet that has been operated as a prison. And I mean this literally, not as a metaphor for something, end quote.
Oh. And then we have the alien interview. Quote, the old empire has been using Earth as a prison planet for a very long time, end quote.
Yeah, and then you have the Gnostic text on the origin of the world, which states, quote, now all of this came to pass according to the forethought of Pistis, in order that man should appear after his likeness and should condemn them because of their modeled form. And their modeled form became an enclosure of the light. And it is they who are taken captive according to their destinies by the prime parent. And thus they were shut into the prisons of the modeled forms until the consummation of the age, end quote.
Wow. All right, we're going to move on to red flag number 10, virtual realities, AI simulations.
Yeah, I mean, programmers create computer simulations and virtual realities even here on Earth.
Doesn't that suggest that we ourselves may be living in a simulation or virtual realm that someone else created?
Quite possible.
If we are in a false reality, what does that mean for humanity? How do we move forward?
Yeah, I mean, even though machines can help us, they also contribute to the tracking, surveillance, and the control of humanity. Right. And as we look to the future, there's a growing trend towards the merging of man and machine as cyborgs. I mean, could the end goal be the imprisonment of the spirit within a synthetic body indefinitely, in addition to having more control via a hive mind?
One, I heard about, somebody else told me, philosophers reading materials and stuff, I heard that this was a prison planet. Literally, it's where beings in the galaxy and in the universe had been caught and brought here and put into physical bodies and imprisoned. And the story is, and was, still is, that as long as even if you get out of body, they want you to not be getting out of body and knowing what's going on in the other planes, in the other densities and realities. So if they see you or catch you, they will bring you back to the body, and there's systems set up in place, rules, programming, mind control, implants, amnesia, mind wipes, whatever you want to call these systems. They're in place so you don't remember what you were doing when you did break out of prison, when the body did fall asleep or go unconscious, and you were able to shift focus and consciousness into other realms and densities. Okay? All right. So that was a story I heard back in the 70s. When in 1972, I had a buddy who we were doing spiritual work and past life regressions and different kinds of things, and he came to work one morning and said he had a really bad headache. He didn't know why. He just went to bed last night and woke up this morning with a really bad headache. So he got a session. It's kind of like a past life regression session, but it's instead of regressing into a past life, regressed into the sleep state or the dream state. And he was able to see what happened in his dream or while his body was asleep. Come to find out, he had an out-of-body experience. And he got out of body, left Earth, and he was like flying off toward Jupiter or someplace. And he encountered two beings like gatekeepers, sentinels or something, guards. And he said, you don't belong here. Get back. And he goes, no, I don't want to go back. I'm not going back. They grabbed him and escorted his spiritual out-of-body ass back to bed, back into his body. And he woke up the next morning with a headache and no memory of any of it. So in retrospect, I look at that, yeah, prison planet. Even if you can get out of body, they don't fucking like it. And they're going to put you back in if they catch your ass. And they also would like to mind wipe you so you don't remember the experience. Because if you remember what happened, you might try it again. You might try another escape plan. So yeah, prison planet. Then in about 1985, 86, no, later than that, 1989, 90, somewhere in there, I had an out-of-body experience. So I had this out-of-body experience where I wake up not in the physical, right? And I'm standing in line, and it's like Andy of Mayberry. This was a little TV show. It's a little small town jailhouse kind of place. So there's a wooden desk, and there's that wooden rail, and there's some jail cells back there. And I'm just standing there, and I'm standing in line. There's about 4 or 5 thug-looking guys in front of me, and they're not all human. They're kind of human-looking with heads and arms and stuff, but they're not all humans. And I'm just standing in line, waiting for my turn, and a guy is there. Okay, next, and puts the guy in a jail. Next, and it was kind of a metaphor. I'm going, what's going on here? People were being processed. What had happened is they got out of their reality system, out of the physical reality density. Doesn't matter if it was on this planet or another planet, but they got out of their normal reality, out of their bodies. So they were all having out-of-body experiences, and then they were in a higher plane, just like me. And they had been caught like vagrants and picked up off the streets and processed, put in jail, and actually being forced back into their physical bodies. So that's what was going to happen with me. if I'd have stayed in line. When you're out of body doing these different kinds of things, you can sense, and you're psychic pretty good sometimes. And so I could just sense that this was what this was all about. And I go, hey, I'm not going to stand here in line to be thrown in any little fucking jail cell while I'm in an out-of-body experience. Fuck you. But I kind of figured it all out and said, I'm out of here. And so I jumped a little rail fence and I headed straight for the door, busted through the door, and took off running down the street. And they're going, go get them, boys! And I'm running like this. And I'm being chased by the bad guys, the cops, the what we call the multidimensional local police here. And it was kind of scary, kind of adventurous scary. And I'm running down this road, and there's an overpass. Well, it's, you know how sometimes the road will go down under the road. So I'm going down under this, and going through this long, dark tunnel, being chased. And when I got back from that one, I go, what the hell was that all about? And then I sorted it out. And I go, those guys, whoever they were, did not want me getting out of body. They wanted me back in my physical body. So that was, that was a second experience. And so some other reasons I think it's a prison planet is that there are a lot of soul traps in the multiverse. And these are different ways of catching beings, free beings that, like, maybe they're floating around, flying around, and they're in an energy form, but not necessarily a human shape. They're just like glow balls or fuzz balls of energy. That's all they've got for a body, but it's the consciousness that they are. And sometimes they will be in bodies, but they get caught by physical beings that their local universe is the physical universe or the physical density of reality. And they have equipment, machinery, high-tech stuff where they can sense or see. It's like you and I being able to sense or see ghosts or entities. Some people are psychic and can see it, but imagine having some high-tech equipment like Ghostbusters, and you can see or sense when other entities, non-physical, incorporeal beings, are in the area. And so a lot of times, way back when, the incorporeal beings that physical beings couldn't necessarily see were very powerful beings like genies out of the bottle, and they could and would mess with physical beings. They could go to different planets and they're like God beings, creator God beings, but they're not doing nice things. They're kind of pissed off at the whole physical universe, human being thing, and they're pissing off the humans. And they could be pissing off reptilians or, Syrians, Arcturians, or whatever. But what I've read in my stories and in the past life recalls and things, it was humans. So you, as a creator being, a genie out of a bottle, a powerful being that can create and interact with physical universe things, like a genie, could have pissed off a human race on some planet somewhere in the universe. And so this sort of thing, this is one of the dramas and things that how beings have played games in the multiverse. So in this particular storyline here, you're running around out there doing things. You're having fun. You're just playing around. Hey, you don't feel pain. It's not a pain-pleasure sort of. you get some joy out of the whole thing. It's kind of action and activity, and you're winning, and challenges and fun and something to do, God being, do. So now you're pissing off a bunch of humans in the physical universe. It's like a kid playing with an ant farm or a pile of ants, an ant pile, poking sticks at it, so having a lot of fun. Well, what if these ants were really fucking smart and they said, next time that motherfucker comes around here with his big stick, we're going to catch the bitch. And so what if they had some high-tech energy equipment where they can grab you and take you? They would do that. So that would be a soul trap, because you would be the soul and they would be the humans, and they could trap you. And if they got you, what are they going to do with you now? They got to stick you somewhere. So what if they had a planet that was all set up with an energy field, and it'd dumb you down, and just electromagnetic field radiation to limit your psychic abilities and all that stuff. Plus they could throw you in a body, plus they could mind wipe you so you don't remember anything. And so now you're stuck in a body and you don't have a clue of who and what you were before you came here. Super powerful creator being, pissing off humans. Prison planet, now, done, mind wiped, done deal. Okay, so that's the thing. There are other kinds of soul traps. They're like, one is like the beautiful library of information, library of knowledge. It's like a gorgeous realm, like paradise. And there's this beautiful library-like place where you can go in and you can access the knowledge of the universe. Ooh. And so that's like the bait. A lot of beings, want that. So these physical beings, physical universe beings, are able to generate or create these holographic projections of realities and realms. And so you're just flying through space, and you go, ooh, what's that? Oh, look. Oh, a library of knowledge. Oh, well, let's go see. And you go over there and you snoop around, sniff, sniff, sniff. And you go inside, and bam, gotcha, bitch. Soul trap. Now they got you, and they put you in a little container or box or some shit, and they can take you to a place like Earth, prison planet, and shove you in a body, and you wake up. What the fuck? And if you don't snap out of it in that lifetime, they put other things in place so you don't wake up while you're living in the physical body on a place like planet Earth. You're not going to just easily wake up to what's going on, because the local population isn't going to know about these soul traps and these places being prison planets and all that. And you're going, what the hell, mate? What's going on? But if you can wake up, you have your memories, between lives memories, and what happened just before you got here memories, and maybe thousands of past life memories. If you can remember that stuff, by consideration, you're telling yourself a new story. Oh, this may be a prison planet for some people. This ain't keeping me here. And you may have your out-of-body ability, your ability to travel out of body, astral travel, all that stuff, consciousness shift, quantum jumping, this sort of thing. So you're not a prisoner here. It's a prison planet, but you're not. It's not. They can't catch you, or they can't keep you here, right? So you can leave anytime, and you come back and leave. And so you might stick with the body till the body gets old and dies, or has an accident and dies, and then you're out of here and you never come back. You go, okay, they caught me once, they're not going to catch me again. So you go off into the multiverse and play your stuff and do your thing. And you go, is Earth a prison planet? Well, it's not for people like me, it isn't, but there are a lot of people, beings there that are imprisoned and they don't know it. They're mind controlled, their beliefs have changed, and it's because of their beliefs they're imprisoned. They're imprisoned by the matrix. And the matrix reality around them is created by their own mind, their own thoughts, beliefs, agreements, decisions, things like this, their own imagination, their own thoughts and feelings. So that's how you can catch powerful beings, creator beings, and dumb them down and make them think they're human. And now when they do get out of body, they can get by consideration, they can consider themselves needing or wanting one more reincarnation to make things right on planet Earth. If they buy into the karma and the cause and effect karma issue thing that is used on beings. So you might go back one more time. That's what you think or believe. But by the time you go in one more time, there's a lot more programming, implanting, and hypnotic mind control, MK Ultra sort of stuff being played out on you in your whole life in ways you don't even know about. And then you get out again and you don't remember your last life. And now you're being told another story about just go one more time. So each time you get out, you're being told just one more time. And each time you get out, you think it's just going to be one more time. And you don't remember all those one more times before that. So that's a trick they use. One more reason why I can see how people would see this as a prison planet and how it is a prison planet for some people is this thing called, the Farsight Institute and the, what's his name? Brad Stewart? Anyway, remote viewer, these two different remote viewer groups. They targeted this subject, and they found that, well, all the remote viewers locked in onto the same sort of thing, that a person, dropped dead, crossed over, and got instantly and immediately caught up in a real soul trap sort of thing that fucked with their shit and caused them a lot of trauma, and then recycled back in. And I've heard about those traps like that, but they don't happen to everybody. Just because you're in a human body and drop dead doesn't mean you're going to end up in one of those. You have to have prior beliefs that that's going to happen to you. And you're probably going to have to be afraid, in fear that that will happen to you before something like that can happen. And it's very likely you would have had to be on the other side of this. See, you and I, we have been around for a very long time, millions, billions of years, if you process it in terms of linear time, which you don't have to, but we have experienced many, many, many lifetimes and all kinds of things in physical form and spiritual form, interacting with physical bodies in different ways. And you can gather this cause and effect. I did something bad should be happening to me to balance this out. Or it's just some deep-seated beliefs about the nature of your reality and what you manifest in your world. Short story, karmic debt. Then you will be playing it out like this. Once upon a time, you thought it would be fun to fuck around with human beings, blow up their shit, capture them, play around with them, get into their bodies, control their bodies, then leave their bodies, make them do different things that they don't want to do, cause them to fight with each other. God stuff. But you doing that with your little ant farm / humans. And you're like, what? You don't think it's bad until one day you do. It's like being a kid and you're pulling the wings off flies, or you're torturing lizards or fucking animals, and you're like, you're immature in some way. You're just not getting it. But when you grow up, you see how wrong and bad it was, and you say, fuck it. And you don't take responsibility for it. You don't even really give it any thought. But there'll be a part of you feeling the remorse. But if you don't do anything about it in some way, process your information, process what you've done, a deeper level of self can manifest a reality where you will pay for it. So that's kind of the karmic debt sort of approach. You do something bad, and something bad comes happens to you. So a lot of people believe that some bad things happen to them. It's karma or karmic debt being paid. And in that context, if you believe in it that way, yeah, that's what's happening. Another way to look at it is more of a cause and effect way, simple cause and effect. You did some bad shit to others, now bad shit's going to happen to you, cause and effect, by nature of how the mind works and how we manifest reality, by virtue of what we think about and focus on and feel about and believe and decide and agree on, moral codes, codes of conduct, and this sort of thing. So there you got your bad shit happening to you. So if you got a life here and you're feeling like this prison planet and you can't get out and you're stuck and a lot of bad shit's happening to you and you're a targeted individual and it's real, it's not in your imagination, you're really getting targeted, they're really beaming shit at you, or you're really getting abducted by MyLab Men in Black sort of stuff, or Secret Space Program, or ETs, Greys, Reptilians, doesn't matter who, but you're really getting physically abducted or astrally abducted, and you know it, and you go, why me? Why am I targeted? Well, here's an answer you can try on for size. Could be that long, long ago, you were doing that shit to people. Could be long, long ago, and maybe not even that long ago, you were a reptilian. You were in one of these other non-human bodies, living large in a non-human civilization. Or you may have been a free being doing fun things, fun at the time, and you got caught by the beings that didn't think it was so funny that you were blowing up their shit and ruining their planets. So I'm just saying, yeah, prison planet, sure, you bet, absolutely. All right.